Welcome to the Conservative Commandos. I'm Rick Manning. He's George Landrith. And we are the Conservative Commandos. George is the president of Frontiers of Freedom. We all know him, George. Frontiers of Freedom, they're a great group. You need to check them out. And I am the president of Americans for Limited Government. And together, we get together once a week and we kind of just shoot it around a little bit about issues that are happening, things that are important, and things that you really need to know that maybe you aren't hearing about through the normal media channels.
Well, you know, Rick, let's do our lightning round where we kind of toss some things around and try to do things pretty rapidly. And I want to start off with a little quirky thing here. I want to go with the hitchhiking robot.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories of the week. For a lot of reasons, but there's this device, this mechanical robot, and it was devised out of Europe, and it has traveled all over Denmark and other places in Europe. It's actually flown in the cockpit of an Air Canada flight. It went to Fenway Park. It ended up going to New York City, and has been essentially, and it made its way to Philadelphia. Now, first of all, the hitchhiking robot is a very simple thing. It has a movable arm that hitchhikes like this, and it talks, and it has somewhat of a personality. And the objective of it is to see how people will react to robots. A lot of people in the AI world worry about how robots will interact with people. Well, this experiment is how will people interact with robots? And so, and it's a robot, so it's just what it is. And it takes pictures of everything, and they've got a loop of everything, all of its adventures. And it made it safely through the mean streets of New York. It made it safely through Boston. It made it safely through a lot of Europe. It survived a lot, and then it hit Philadelphia. And in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, it lived up to the irony of that very name. The city that booed Santa Claus, destroyed, beheaded the hitchhiking robot, ending its functional life as it's now, and the police are now going to send the parts back to its creator so they can do a full analysis and hopefully avoid sending any further experiments, alien experiments, to Philadelphia, because apparently the city of brotherly love is not a welcoming place.
That's pretty funny. Pretty funny stuff.
Well, the jail, there was one place you could depend on any football game, that the jail at Veterans Stadium was always full. And it's so I don't know what it is about Philadelphia, but apparently they are, if you are a note to foreign visitors, if you are an alien from outer space, avoid Philadelphia.
Yo,
it is an unfriendly atmosphere for humans and non-humans alike who do not speak that unique language. Well, George, on that kind of quirky note, we've got some, there's a guy who, kissed the rock and roll group, painted faces, and kind of had you're never quite sure what was up with them. Now, they played some pretty, when you get down to it, some pretty upbeat rock and roll. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but you never really knew much about them behind the paint. But Gene Simmons, who was one of the members of KISS, still is, came to the Pentagon and gave a briefing this week. What did Gene Simmons have to say that would ever interest anybody?
Pretty interesting stuff. He didn't really talk about rock and roll, but he talked about his mother who survived a Nazi concentration camp. He talked about how at night when when we didn't broadcast 24 hours a day, when they would have the sign off with the flag and the national anthem, that she would actually, cry. And he didn't really understand why, but it was because she was, safe and proud of where she was. And it was very interesting to hear this fellow, because they've done some nice things for veterans, the band KISS has, and made some real attempts to help, homes and other sort of charitable causes. But he said, this is what he said. He said, I may have been born in a country that people throughout history have referred to as the promised land, but they take that for granted. And he says, America is the promised land. And then he says, we need to teach young people to be comfortable with saying, God bless America. So I thought to myself, wow, there you go. A rock and roller who's out there saying America's awesome and it's a special place. And, Gene Simmons, of course, is Jewish, but it's interesting to him that for him, America is the promised land. I couldn't agree more. What better place to live if you are, a black man, a Jewish woman, a black woman, a white man, and, a Asian man. It doesn't matter. Wherever you are, name me a better place to make your home than America and enjoy freedom and opportunity. This is the place.
Contrast Gene Simmons, who he broke up about 6 times, and if you haven't seen it on YouTube, you really need to grab it and look at it. It's a short watch, but it takes your breath away.
Yeah.
But contrast that. Here's a guy who was born in Israel, came to America. His mother was in the concentration camps during World War II. Jewish concentration camps, was marked to die, and survived and emigrated to Israel. And then they emigrated from Israel to America. And contrast that with Ilhan Omar, who was in a dire situation in Somalia, was in a refugee camp, which was less oppressive than a concentration camp, and then emigrated to America as a refugee, as a legitimate refugee, and clearly hates America, and would never give the speech that Gene Simmons gave. Contrast those two things. Our problem isn't refugees. The problem is who the refugees are that we're bringing in. Gene Simmons and his family assimilated. They said, this is our country. This is who we want to be. They watched the American flag and they choked up over it. Ilhan Omar looks at the American flag and sees that oppressors of her people, and she wants to actually rip down that American flag. That's the difference, and that's the difference we have to try to maintain. Refugees aren't bad. We have to make certain that the refugees that come, though, come with a grateful heart that we're opening our doors to them, rather than a burning desire to burn down the inside of the building. And that's the difference. Let me give you one real quick. Communist China. We don't have a lot of time for this. So let's go to a different one. Kelsey Grammer. Okay,
good. We can do Communist China.
We can do Communist China on the back end.
Too much to talk about there. But Kelsey Grammer made the news this week. Of course, Kelsey Grammer is Fraser Crane from the television show, when he was both on the Cheers and then its own show, its spinoff, Frasier. But, Hollywood's a bunch of leftist kooks, but Fraser Crane, of course, or Kelsey Grammer, is not. He came out and said that Trump's been doing an amazing job getting a lot done, and he's done more than anybody that he's seen in Washington in a long, long time. And I suspect that means he'll never get another job in Hollywood because he's in the minority on this one. But it is nice to occasionally see somebody who can be objective about the facts.
Well, and one of the great things about that, and we're heading to a break, but one of the great things about that is you wonder how many people in Hollywood actually agree with Kelsey Grammer, but they have to be quiet because you don't want to get shunned. You're far better off being accused of being a pedophile than being accused of being a Republican in Hollywood, and as a result, a lot of voices are silenced in that community. And quite honestly, Christians are silenced as well, because if you're a Christian, you're persona non grata, and you're not going to the parties and you're not getting the jobs. On that, we got to get out. We're against the clock. You're listening to Conservative Commandos. I'm Rick Manning. He's George Landrith. And we're coming to you from the Conservative Commando Radio Network. And, carried around the world, TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, American Political Radio, AM FM 24/7. If you can't find us, you're not looking. And if you're watching us, tell a friend. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials. and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
The Conservative Commandos. I'm Rick Manning. He's George Landrith. He's with Frontiers of Freedom. I'm with Americans for Limited Government, and we're here to tell you the truth about what's going on in America. If you'd like to hear rebroadcast of today's show or for more information, just check out the website, ccrsnetwork.com and ccrshow.com. And George, we're going to go back to the lightning round because there's so many different things happening, and I really want to get to a lot of these points, and it's important. So Joy Behar's on The View. What's Joy up to? What has she said that's been so joyful?
Yeah, so I think they list her as a comedian, but I always thought that meant you had to be funny. Because if she's a comedian, so am I. You know, but anyhow...
you've got a sense of humor.
Right. But anyhow, she, for example, this week, I guess, was wishing, fantasizing, talking about the idea that Americans who disagree with her should be sent to gulag. She wanted to throw Republicans into jail. Their crime apparently is they don't agree with her on politics. And I think to myself, and they call Donald Trump Hitlerian. You've got to be freaking kidding me.
It's you wondered how far we've fallen, and Joy Behar still has her job.
Yeah.
Still has her job after expressing that opinion that one half of Americans should be thrown in jail.
Right.
Because they don't agree. It's astonishing that they
thought crimes. How dare you think different than me?
Well, let me. Why don't you ask me one?
Yeah, let me throw you. I'm going to cheat and give you two. How's that? There's that model. I'm trying to remember her name now. I think it's Emily Ratajkowski or something like that. And then there's Emily or Alyssa Milano. Okay. To me, they have a lot in common. But why don't you tell us what's going on with them?
Well, they do have a lot in common, and they're both airheads. But they both come out and have expressed themselves in different ways in opposition to in particular the Georgia law, which is a heartbeat law for on abortion. It makes it so after you can hear a baby's heartbeat, you can no longer perform an abortion. And they both express themselves differently. Emily Ratajkowski, who is a model, is decided that she posed nude. She had a leaf covering up key parts, but she posed nude, which apparently is not that different for her. But she did sort of punish men around the world by posing nude in protest of the abortion law. Okay, now, I don't know, but she hangs out with different men than I do. But that's maybe she's just trying to get internet clicks. I don't know. But I guess if she said something, nobody would click on it. But if she promised to pose nude, somebody might click on it to try to find out what she thought. But no, we were punished by her posing nude. Really a strange concept. Alyssa Milano had an even stranger concept because it actually is the old jujitsu concept. Here, Alyssa Milano said she called for a sex strike. She said women, because of the Georgia law, women should not have sex with men. Well, that's an interesting concept. To protest an abortion law by saying that women are going to take the exact action, which pro-life people have been saying for years that women could take to prevent having abortions at all by stopping abortion pre-conception. What a concept! Through abstinence. And by the way, she didn't mean it that way. She didn't because she's an airhead, she doesn't think through the meaning of her words. She effectively made the entire point for the pro-life movement, because I guarantee you that every single pro-choice woman, pro-abortion woman who abstains from sex will not get pregnant as long as they keep abstaining from sex.
And they will not need an abortion.
And then they won't need to get an abortion, and they won't have to worry about the laws in Georgia, Alabama, and elsewhere. So
go Alyssa Milano, yeah. Yeah,
Alyssa Milano, way to go, way to make the point. George, there's a really serious thing and these are serious, but there's a serious issue that Congress dealt with. I don't think we talked about it a lot, but we're going to spend some time with it in my interview. But the Equality Act passed the House. 8 Republicans voted for it. And I think it was unanimous on the Democrats' side. Tell us a little bit about the Equality Act, or as I call it, the Inequality Act.
The Equality Act.
And what it actually does and means.
If truth in labeling applied, then this would not be called the Equality Act. It would probably be called the Assault on Religious Freedom Act. So in 1993, they passed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which was designed to make sure that it stopped the government from encroaching on people's religious liberty and tried to create some boundaries. And of course, the Constitution does that as well with the First Amendment, but they were trying to give it some statutory teeth and so forth. So now they want to apparently obliterate that, and they want to create and give gender identity issues the exact same treatment that they would get under the Civil Rights Acts, so that, for example, you can't have, we all understand this, we've historically been able to have men and female locker rooms simply because they're different genders and privacy was desired, but you couldn't have black and white or Asian and Latino bathrooms. They had to be only by gender. They want to obliterate that. That distinction should not be made because, it used to be well-established law that making distinctions based on race really didn't have validity. But making some distinctions, not lots, but some on gender did. So, for example, women, you had the women's varsity basketball team and the men's varsity basketball team. You had the women's locker room and the men's locker room. And that wasn't the sign of any sort of sexism. It was just an acknowledgement that people, the genders, at least in some ways, were a little different, and we were going to acknowledge that. But now they want to obliterate that. So, if you're a private university or a private school or a religious institution and you'd like to have separate bathrooms, too bad. H.R. 5 says no can do, and that you're bad and hateful if you want to do that.
You get right down to it. Title IX was set up as one of the outcomes of it is that women's athletics, when high school girls, junior high school girls, elementary school girls had a hope that if they worked hard in athletics, that there would be a pathway for them to get a scholarship, an athletic scholarship, because they were competing with other people with the same kind of muscle types and were competing on a level playing field. And what H.R. 5 does, and it makes no bones about this, it allows men, boys who mentally identify themselves as being female to compete with women in sports. Martina Navratilova, a lesbian trendsetter who was one of the greatest women's tennis players in history, came out and said, this is going to destroy women's sports. And she got slapped around by the new LGBTQFYZ groups.
It was hateful to say that.
As being evil in some way for pointing out that men have different muscle tone and different muscle mass than women and would have an unfair advantage. Yet, here's what that means. It means your daughter is now going to potentially compete against a boy in girls' tennis and may or may not be able to give it a scholarship because a boy, who identifies as a girl, will be eligible for that same scholarship. Your wife or daughter who's applying for an 8A loan under as a woman's company, small business, suddenly will be competing against men who identify as women for that same 8A loan, taking away the whole purpose of that minority set aside. Now, whether you agree with the minority set aside or not, it's a different issue. But as long as we're going to have that set aside, you cannot say that set aside is now meaningless because you are making it gender neutral. And with that, we're gonna talk a little bit more about this. But George,
that's right. Well, we've got to get. I'm gonna have to sign off to people. But before I do that, I just wanted to also quickly say this is the craziness of all this is the criticism of the legislators who voted for the heartbeat bill. Well, if they had, because they were males and so forth, they shouldn't be making. They just need to self-identify as a female right before they cast their vote, and then it's all good under H.R. 5, right? anyhow, crazy stuff, but we are against the break. I know you've got a great interview coming with Sandy, Sandy Reyes with the American Family Association. I know you're going to continue this conversation, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a great interview. But I do want to say goodbye to our listeners and our watchers and say I appreciate the fact that you tune in every week, because without you, the show wouldn't be possible. I'm George Landrith. He's Rick Manning. We are the Conservative Commandos, coming to you on the radio network, on the AUN TV network, and of course, always on Al Gore's amazing internet. Don't go away. Rick will be right back with Sandy.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, please check out our websites, ccrshow.com or CCRS Network. Please like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And Nasir, we have our first guest with us. Please make him feel welcome.
I will do so, Rick. Thank you so much. It's my honor to introduce guests here on Conservative Commandos, but Brian Kolfage, it's an absolutely a deep honor to introduce you. Brian, he's a veteran of the United States Air Force. He was severely wounded in combat on 9/11, 2004. He lost both his legs entirely and his right hand. He's the most severely wounded U.S. airman to survive. Brian says he's not a conservative, he's not a liberal, but he's an American. He has deep beliefs for what our country stands for. He proved this by sacrificing for us. He's fought for our political freedoms, our freedom of speech, and what we have Brian on today for is because Facebook has censored this great, great American who's given everything in the service of his country to us right now. He's also an entrepreneur. He's got his own coffee business, which is military-grade coffee. So, Brian, we want you to speak about what's happening with Facebook. Rick and I have both been in the Gestapo, the gulag of Facebook.
I'm in right now. As we speak, I am in the Facebook jail.
I got out because I'm very passionate about the pro-life movement. And whenever I put my videos on, they think that those are not up to community standards, which I think you're going to talk about as well. So, Brian, please, before we get into that, you were at the Trump rally yesterday. Give our audience just a sense of what that was like to be there, the palpable feel of a Trump rally. Because I've been to a few of them too, but give us your version of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, that was my first one I've ever been to. And, just to be immersed in that type of energy, I mean, I think the crowd rivaled that of what you would see at maybe the NFL a few years ago. And just the power that you don't get to feel it. Like when you watch it on TV, you don't have that power. You don't have that rumble. I mean, it's just crazy to see the power in the people who support him and everyone there come together, support a cause. I think, one of the great things was, that was also, I heard was bleeped out on TV was how many people were against CNN and the liberal media there. And I mean, they ragged CNN so hard saying CNN sucks, and everyone was just pointing at him and giving him a hard time. And I thought it was one of the coolest things I saw. And no one even saw it on TV. At least no one I talked to even heard about it. And
was there any Facebook sucks out there as well?
That whole crowd, man, I don't know how many people were there, 77,000 to 100,000. Everyone just screaming and pointing at CNN, telling them they suck.
Wow.
I mean, they made their message heard. And, I mean, just to see Trump in person and just doing his thing, and he does it good. And oh man, he was having a ball out there, and he was on fire. It was a great time to be a part of that. And the Trump campaign helped me get in there, and it was awesome.
Oh, wonderful!
Awesome.
Thanks for that. So give us a, everyone sort of had this idea with Facebook, but with you especially, they are going after you. They're going after your livelihood. They're going after your First Amendment rights. They're going after your family, your children, how you feed them. Give us a sense of what Facebook is really doing to you.
On a personal level, we'll start with the business level. We've been in contact with them the whole time, and we tried, when they rolled out these new rules in January, we tried to contact them. Well, we did contact them, but they just didn't want to respond to us. And we have a contact up there really high up, and they wouldn't give us our meeting that we wanted to make sure all our stuff was compliant. Never happened. And, I'll give you the short rundown. And over 50 emails sent, nothing from them. They didn't want to help us. They didn't want us to succeed. They wanted us to fail. If we were a liberal site or any other site, they would have been there helping me. I mean, we were a big company on there. We spent a lot of money, over $300,000. And, they say it's political based because of midterms and misinformation. All that's false. Look at how my coffee company, they attacked my coffee company. Well, there's nothing to do with politics with my coffee company. We sell coffee. We post veteran stuff. We post military stuff, patriotic. We sell coffee. We give 10% back to veterans charities, and that's it. If this is political,
it's not true that if people drink your coffee, they become conservative. That's not true.
I guess not. I mean, we'd be stupid to really mix we didn't want to mix our business with politics at all. And they've done that to us. And, we realized there's Democrats who love our coffee and they're in the military. We didn't want to divide it. We didn't even want our coffee company brought into this. Well, now that they've taken our coffee company down, we lost 200,000 of our customers, have no way to contact them now. And now they're hitting me at home in my pocket. And it's definitely intentional. If, like they said, it was political, but it's clearly more than that. It's personal beef with me. They knew I ran one of the biggest conservative websites and networks. It was a perfect time. They were going to clean up, their little Facebook sandbox, and they lumped us in with some people who may have been bad and who may have been doing things wrong, but we were not doing things wrong. We have emails. We've reported foreign pages and individuals who were definitely foreign and trying to meddle with elections and politics on Facebook. We report them all the time. We have every email. Like, we were a model citizen on Facebook, and they should be celebrating us. They should be using us as an example. But instead, they just want to kick us out. They want to kick us out because it doesn't go with their political beliefs, and we're a threat to them. And even Facebook said it. They were doing this before the midterms because of the midterms, and they want to get rid of misinformation. We weren't Russian.
Brian, give us a sense of this lawsuit that you're really going after Zuckerberg and Facebook for, because one of the things is that Congress has always set up this thing where all these were supposed to be platforms.
Right.
They weren't supposed to be publishers. They were supposed to be platforms for this dissemination of information from all sides.
Right.
And we firmly know now that these are not platforms. They're firmly funneling in views that they want and views that they don't want. They're canceling, such as yours. So why hasn't anybody sort of stood up or done this before to Facebook or threatened to sue them? Have some people tried in the past and they've just been beaten back?
I think no one's really had a powerful story to speak up about it. I'm sure people have tried in the past. It's just
powerful.
If you don't have the story and all that going with it, no one's going to get behind it. And I think what they did with me, and I told them right off the bat, I was like, you guys are making a mistake, and this is going to backfire in your face. And I let them know. I gave them the warning shot plenty of times and told them what's going to happen. They'd be stupid to do what they're doing. And obviously it shows just their attitude towards it. They don't care. They haven't even answered Fox News, Laura Ingraham, Fox and Friends. Anyone who's reached out to them, they have ignored. Why are they ignoring them? Because that's what they do. They think they don't have to answer to Americans. They think they don't have to answer to anybody. And that's the mindset they have. But, everything I've given, my limbs, my hand, both my feet, my legs, everything I deal with every day, I'm going to make them answer that, because I've given way too much to lose everything I've built since being injured, just to throw it away because of what they've done. they're going to answer to me. They're going to answer to Americans. We're going to haul, like I said, we're going to haul Zuckerberg or Facebook, whoever it may be. They're going to go back to Congress. We're going to hand Congress and Senate a full investigation that we're going to have done on them. And we're going to hand them that golden egg, and we're going to make sure that they have everything they need to investigate them. And if they find crimes that were committed, we're going to use that also in our own legal proceedings, and we're going to go after them from all angles. You know, one of the biggest things that we were trying to do is get out for that fightforfreespeech.com. That's our grassroots gathering. That's where we're trying to gather everybody. You know, Facebook has kicked off the Overpasses from America people, all these different rallies, the 2 million bikers. These guys no longer have their reach. They're done. They're wiped out. So there's these grassroots organizations. We're trying to get them to go to that website and sign up. That way we don't need Facebook to contact them. We will contact them through email, and we will set up these massive rallies, and that's what we're planning on doing. And you know, if we have to send 1 million people over to Facebook, 2 million bikers, whatever it may be, we're going to set it up and do it. We're going to be on Capitol Hill doing stuff. You know, I'm not going to sit and just allow this type of tyranny to happen to me and my family and other people. And it's really just not about myself. It's about all these other pages that are affected as well. And there's so many others, hundreds of people, and they're all contacting me. And it's wrong. It's wrong what's going on. And, you know, people hear my story, but there's many others who are the exact same as me. It's just the only difference is I lost my legs, and it pisses people off because I lost my leg. But there's other people.
Brian, I think what you need to do is you need to have a caravan.
Yeah.
Going and taking a caravan up to Facebook with you in the lead and thousands of people behind you. And I think that would be absolutely, absolutely powerful. But you know what? We've got to take a quick break. I'm going to send it right back over to Rick so he can take us into a break.
All right.
But you'll hang around with us for our next segment. Yes, Brian?
All right. Yes. Thank you.
All right.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And we have a real American patriot with us today, Brian Kolfage, and he is a he is a veteran of the United States Air Force. He lost both legs and his right hand in the service to our country in Iraq. And we're talking about how Facebook, how Facebook has banned him and the websites he was working on, including his coffee company, which was supporting him and his family. But we do need to take a break, and we'll be right back right after these messages.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. I want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to us on watch us on stations in Florida, California, Georgia, Colorado, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. We are everywhere. We are everywhere. Our guest this segment is Brian Kolfage. He's a veteran of the United States Air Force, and in 2004 he was severely wounded in service to our country in Iraq, lost both legs and his right hand. Brian, welcome. Thank you for staying through that break. We do appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you.
You know, Brian, when I listen to your story, God bless you.
Thank you.
You know, I've read your story. I've seen pictures of you and your beautiful family, an absolute beautiful family. I saw what you have sacrificed in the service to our country. And you've come back to civilian life. You've built a company, Military Grade Coffee, and you're trying to make a life for yourself, for your wife. You are a true a patriot, a hero in my way of thinking. And you're also involved, and this is what we say to people all the time. We must be involved. You were an administrator with right-wing news. We've had John on as a guest here on Conservative Commandos. And what does Facebook do? They've shut you down. And it amazes me that your organizations have spent over $300,000 with Facebook, but they won't even give you the courtesy of a meeting or even a phone call or even answering your emails. And I would like to know, where are the stockholders? Where are the Facebook stockholders? Why aren't they enraged? Why aren't they reaching out to you? I know that's a rhetorical question, but that blows my mind. Because, you know, you said that you shouldn't mix business and politics. You don't do it with your coffee company. But that's exactly what Facebook is doing. I would like to know where their stockholders are.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, that's what I would like to know. And I've always thought about bringing it up, but I don't, you know, I don't think it's my job, and it's not in my place to, you know, to put these stockholders and people. I don't want to be the person who, you know, puts people and puts others of people's money on the line, because, you know, that's their money.
Well,
and
I'll tell you what.
But they do need to step up.
I'll tell you what you can do, Brian. A little bit of advice: buy some Facebook stock. That gives you the right to go to a stockholders meeting and stand up there and speak up there. And I would love to see you up in front of that audience and you tell your story. What you have let them see what you have and your family has sacrificed. Let the stockholders see you. Let them hear your story. I don't know, maybe that would have some sort of an impact. I know it would for me. If I was a stockholder in Facebook, after all, stockholders are stockholders. They're investing in the company to make money. It blows my mind for a social, now I'm getting off on a little tangent here, sorry for that, but for a social networking site, they do everything they can to stop people from networking.
Yep.
Call me crazy. Your lawsuit. What are you hoping to achieve through your lawsuit?
Well, we're just an initial investigative. We're going to start the research and everything like that. We still haven't gone over everything, so we need to figure out what we're working with. We're not filing anything legally until we got Congress and Senate to look into this, because if we file a lawsuit, then Congress and Senate won't look into it. So we have to wait and do things slowly. It's going to take a little bit of time, but what we want to achieve is we want Americans to see what's going on, and this lawsuit is going to expose and put Zuckerberg, in the hot seat, and they're going to see what he's really doing. There could be other crimes that were committed. We don't know if politicians are getting involved, and maybe they're paying Zuckerberg to suppress their own people that they're trying to win, positions for in the government. We don't know. I mean, there's no telling, what is going on. And these tech companies, all of them now are very political. They're very smart. Some of them are smarter than the U.S.
They're
government.
very biased. They're very biased. Brian, when you talk about getting Congress involved, I would love to see Congress investigate not just Facebook, but Google, YouTube, and these so-called social networking, these these internet companies for antitrust violations. They are monopolies, and just like Teddy Roosevelt broke up the railroads, broke up Standard Oil, just like Bell Telephone was broken up as a monopoly, I think so should these internet giants like Facebook, Google, YouTube, because I think they are in violation of antitrust laws.
Yeah, you're right. And look at two of the Facebook owns two of the major ones now. They own Instagram now, and obviously they own Facebook. Instagram with the younger crowd coming up, we're probably going to have the same thing in a few years. They're going to start putting their political agenda on those kids, and we're going to see the same thing. It's just going to get worse. And I think that's their mindset too. They want to keep, that's why they bought Instagram. They know they could reach the younger crowd, and it's just going to keep happening over and over and getting worse and worse until someone puts the foot down, fights back, and says the buck stops here. And that's what we plan to accomplish.
Brian, I would like, in the couple of minutes we have left, I would like you to tell our audience about your websites, about your petition, about your GoFundMe campaign. Tell our audience all they need to know.
Well, like I said earlier, the main one is fightforfreespeech.com. That's fight with a number 4. That's our grassroots campaign, the main homepage, and that's where we need everyone to go in there. That's going to be our central organization to reach people. Our GoFundMe is it's going to be on that camp. Go for free speech or fightforfreespeech.com. We'll put it on there. If you sign up for our petition to fight on the fightforfreespeech.com, you'll be automatically forwarded to the GoFundMe. And with that GoFundMe, we are using those funds directly to fund the initial phase of this lawsuit to build a package to hand to Congress. We've had a lot of huge law firms reach out to us. The main one that we're talking to right now, without saying the name, is working or has worked with the Trump administration when they first got into the White House. So they were with the Trump transition team. They're very conservative, very powerful. They work with lobbyists and everyone. And that money is very important to kick this whole thing off. And that's what we're working on right now. The site that we were running was Right Wing News. And when I took over for John Hawkins, we had a new domain. It was rwnofficial.com. We still run that. We don't have our Facebook, but we still have fans coming to our website, rwnofficial.com, and we are putting out conservative news on that website, regardless of what Facebook, whether we have it or not. So if you guys want to read good news, go to rwnofficial.com. Also, fightforfreespeech.com. That's our hub, and if everyone could go there and sign up, that would give us the biggest help and the biggest lead to fight back.
And Brian, in regards to your coffee, people want to know how to get coffee.
Militarygradecoffee.com, just exactly like it sounds. We're on all social media except Facebook because they delete our page.
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I'm lost for words, which is hard for me, that they would do something like that to you, a veteran who has given so much. But I'll tell you what we're going to do, Brian. We're going to ask you, do you have some ads made up, audio or video ads made up for your coffee company?
Yes, we do.
We're going to run them here on Conservative Commandos.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
On our radio show and our TV show, we're going to run them.
Thank you.
To thank you for what you have done for our country and what you're doing. I think that's the least we can do. So we'll connect. I'm serious about this. We're going to run your ads on our shows.
Great. Well, I appreciate it. You know, there's one more thing I want to add.
Sure.
Yesterday, like everyone thinks, this is political and all this, but yesterday, Facebook, they deleted my wife's account. They went in, an account that we've had for decades. They went in and deleted it with all our family
wife's
photos.
Account. Now, is your wife politically involved?
Not at all. No, not at all. Just that's their personal page. So they're attacking my family. Like this is 100% personal. This is 100% against me and everything. They are attacking my family right now, and it's employees at Facebook. It's not about misinformation. This is an agenda that someone has at Facebook to come after me, and that's it. And they threw us under the bus. And
Brian, I've always thought everybody can do something. Everybody can be productive. We have so many people on welfare, food stamps, disabilities, because, they say they have a bad knee or a bad hip or a bad back. I've always said that everybody can do something. And you are the example of that, Brian. I think you have every excuse there is to sit on your butt and collect I'm sure you get something from the government. You've got every right to feel sorry for yourself. You have every right to shut yourself away. And yet, you are a very productive man. You are a very involved man. And this is what I'd like to say. I don't care how handicapped somebody is, and maybe some people don't like me using the word handicap, but you have, as handicapped as you are, you have every right to just collect that government check each month, sit on your butt, watch TV, but you are not. You're building a life for you and your family. And as I said, beautiful family. You're being productive. You are a true American patriot. Brian, one more time before we go, give out your websites.
Fight the number 4 freespeech.com, and then militarygradecoffee.com. Those are the two main ones that we're really worried about. Just we want to get people involved, especially with the Fight for freespeech.com. That's where we're going to be organizing.
Brian, I'll be calling you later on in the day to make arrangements to get those commercials for you.
Okay, thank you.
Man,
thank you guys so much.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you have given for our country. God bless you, my friend. And I consider you a new friend.
Thank you. You guys as well. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to have me on.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, this is what when I started Conservative Commandos 10 years ago, this is kind of what I wanted to do. Help people like you who want to help our country. Brian, one more time, thank you so much. Take care and God bless.
All right, thank you for having my back.
You bet. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcasts of our shows, please check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. On there, you'll find our radio show, our TV show, a lot of great articles and a lot of great information. Very pleased to have our next guest, Congressman Bob Barr. He represented Georgia's 7th Congressional District in the House of Representatives from 1995 to 2003. He now practices law in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's the chairman of Liberty Guard, a nonprofit pro-liberty organization. He also heads the Legal Enforcement Education Foundation and a consulting firm, Liberty Strategies. Congressman Barr, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Rick, it's great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, and you wrote a very interesting article on Town Hall. A hero's funeral is a lesson for all of us, for us all, I should say. And in here you write, Riley Howe was laid to rest last week in Waynesville, North Carolina, at a funeral service with full military honors. He was not killed in the Middle East war zone. He was not even an enlisted member of the armed services. Congressman Barr, please tell us about Riley Howe and why he got a military funeral.
This young man and a few others like him in recent years are doing what so many of their fellow citizens fail to do, and that is to realize that there is one way and one way only to meet evildoers, and that is to meet them head on, not to cower, not to run, but to go after them. And while it's unfortunate on the one hand that we even need to be discussing how to defend oneself in a school against a shooter, unfortunately in today's world, these are problems that we have to deal with. And what the federal government tells people, and that is to run, hide, and only then fight if you absolutely have to, is a recipe that encourages rather than discourages shooters. Most of these shooters are cowards anyway, and if you go after them head on like Riley did, even at peril to yourself, as an American should do, and that is to go after evildoers, that is the very best way to defend yourself and others who are in danger. So rather than run, hide, fight, it ought to be in the opposite prioritization. Fight ought to be number one, not running away from these people. That encourages them because they're cowards to begin with.
Well, Congressman, you write in your article, Riley's final act of life, saving others regardless of cost, was the ultimate expression of humanity. You know, as I was reading that and reading your article, Congressman, it made me think of the let's roll. Remember what happened during 9/11? The passengers on the one plane that went down in Schwanksville, Pennsylvania, they didn't sit and wait for someone else to control their destiny. They rolled. They acted, and in doing so, probably saved countless lives on that aircraft.
Well, perhaps even mine, because there is evidence that plane was heading to the Capitol building in Washington, which is where I was that day, along with my colleagues in the House of Representatives and the Senate. And that's the way America was formed. We weren't a nation of people who run from danger. We were formed as a nation of people who confront danger, who assume risks, and who take the responsibility to protect ourselves, our family, and our friends. And too often in today's world, you have people say, well, it's somebody else's responsibility. It's the government's responsibility. It's the police. It's the school's responsibility. No, it's your responsibility. There is even to be honest, there is Supreme Court case law that says it is not the responsibility of the police to protect you. It's your responsibility as an individual. But we don't teach that so much in our culture anymore. Riley Howell exhibited that as a true American hero, and that's why he was honored at his funeral in the way that he so appropriately was.
Riley Howell injured the attacker When Riley reacted, knocking him down, he injured the attacker, and the attacker complained of internal injuries after the incident. And even though Riley unfortunately was killed, probably saved a lot of others. And in your article, you talk about some other heroes in action. You talk about the San Diego synagogue shooting 2 weeks ago. An unarmed Army veteran in the congregation rushed and shouted at the shooter was enough to send him scurrying to his car, and that he was quickly apprehended. Fortunately, in this situation, this Army veteran was not shot and wounded, but his actions alone of just charging this coward, this individual, saved lives at the synagogue.
The lessons are the examples are manifold. We see this over and over again. Mm-hmm. On the other end of the spectrum, of course, on the other end of the spectrum, from heroes like Wiley and the veteran that you just described at the synagogue in San Diego a few weeks ago, mm-hmm. On the other end of that spectrum, we have what happened at the high school in Parkland, Florida, a little over a year ago, in which there was a police officer on the scene, mm-hmm. and he did nothing. I mean, that is absolutely outrageous. In addition to, of course, as you probably recall, in the Parkland, Florida shooting, there were all sorts of danger signs that the federal government had and local law enforcement had about this individual. I think his name was Cruz or something, but they did nothing. But even then, at the last moment, when they could have done something, that sheriff hesitated and did nothing. Mm-hmm. And that is the absolute wrong message to send to everybody in this country. The way you confront these shooters, again, who are cowards to begin with, is to confront them aggressively as possible. And because so much can happen so quickly in these situations, time is very much of the essence. Even if you don't take the shooter down, just rushing him, sending him off balance, or distracting his attention will be enough for the others to assist you or for him to start running away.
Well, since that time, there have been some changes in the training, hasn't there been?
There have been, and the situation down in Parkland, Florida, with the sheriff, I think it was Sheriff Israel, former sheriff, thank goodness, down there, really was sort of a wake-up call. And a lot of law enforcement agencies are teaching how far better to confront these shooters rather than sort of sit back and wait for the cavalry to arrive.
Mm-hmm. Well, Congressman Barr, let's talk a little bit about soft targets, and I want to talk about these gun-free zones. When we look back of the history of these mass shootings, all but about one or two took place in these gun-free zones. And yet on the other side, on the left side, instead of looking at the situation, looking at the statistics, looking at the proof, the evidence, they continue to double down on gun-free zones, and instead of arming, they still want to disarm. Could you talk about that?
It's absolutely unfathomable that what the left is doing, what so many on the left are doing, and that is they keep going back to the same recipe. If there is a gun crime, their solution is gun control. Then if there is a crime involving firearms after that, their solution is, we didn't impose enough gun control in the first place, obviously, because there's been another shooting. So they just ratcheted up another notch, another notch, and another notch, and ultimately, what you wind up with are exactly what you said, and that is a shooter's prime target, and that is a gun-free zone. You don't have to arm every teacher. That's not the point. The point is that you don't create a gun-free zone in the first place. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely correct, with very few exceptions. We had that, I think the the Islamic shooter at Fort Hood a few years ago, one or two others, but with very, very few exceptions, these mass shootings occur in gun-free or perceived gun-free zones, primarily schools. Those are the soft targets that they look for, and churches. And it doesn't matter whether it's an elementary school, as in Newtown, Connecticut several years ago, or a university such as Virginia Tech 10 years or so ago. Schools are known because of the liberal mindset of state governments, particularly, that say, oh, these are schools, we have to keep guns out. They are prime targets for shooters.
Congressman, you write in your article, these criminals pick soft targets, easy soft targets. Victims are seen as unprotected and vulnerable. And I think of a couple of instances, and you mentioned one, the Fort Hood shooting. The other is the Navy Yard shooting. Has things changed has policies changed at our military bases, where our military bases now are not seen as soft targets? Has the laws changed? Has the thinking changed? The policies changed to make even our military bases safer?
Not to the extent that they should, Rick. This is something that has to be imposed. It doesn't even require a change in the law. It simply requires a president, a secretary of defense, who understand that when you have men and women in the military who are sworn to protect our nation's security, who are trained in firearms, to require that no person other than a military police officer, for example, can maintain a firearm either on their presence or in their living place while they're stationed at a U.S. military base is ridiculous. But that still remains the official policy of the United States government. It's absurd, it's counterproductive, and ultimately it's dangerous.
Congressman Bob Barr, a couple examples I would like to use now that shows how gun control has hurt and an individual violating a gun-free zone has actually saved lives. One instance, I want to talk about the Santa Barbara shooting a few years ago, where 14 people were killed, another 20 people were injured. Some would say we don't need to be protecting ourselves. We have the police, but in that situation, the police were only 1 mile away, 5 minutes away. But as I said, 14 people were killed, 20 others hurt. There was another situation in a gun-free zone in Darby, Pennsylvania a few years ago, where a mental patient went in, shot and killed his social worker, shot his doctor, but he was stopped there because his doctor had a gun. His doctor used that gun to shoot this criminal. Now, there you've got two situations of gun-free zones. One where the people in at that Christmas party were not protected. The other, a doctor stopped this criminal with a gun that he had there illegally. Do you think that there should be legislation, there should be laws giving people the right to protect themselves, no matter where they are?
Absolutely, there should be, and this gets, Rick, back to a very fundamental question, and that is the scope of the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Looked at in the context of both the history of our government and the history of the Bill of Rights, and in the history of other amendments to our Constitution, the only conclusion one can reach if one looks at the Second Amendment, which establishes the individual right to keep and bear arms. It's not for hunting, it's not for gun collecting, it's for protection of oneself and one's family, one's home place. And you marry that to the 14th Amendment, which says that no state can infringe the privileges or immunities of citizenship, which means that a state cannot impose limitations that take away a pre-existing right of a citizen of this country, which the right to keep and bear arms is. It wasn't given to us by the Second Amendment. It was protected by the Second Amendment. Then the only conclusion is that the states cannot infringe the basic right to keep and bear arms for self-protection, for self-defense. And yet we still have, even though the Supreme Court has made clear its understanding that the Second Amendment protects the right, the individual right to keep and bear arms, there still are myriad limitations that individual states and localities have placed on the right of a person to possess a firearm for self-defense. There is nothing more important than that fundamental right, and yet it is seems to be the most easy for states to get away with limiting.
Congressman, but it seems like the liberals continue to win and to push this argument. What's it going to take for conservatives to not only challenge them, but to go on the offensive to preserve our First Amendment, our Second Amendment rights? And by the way, I always say here on the Conservative Commandos, our show is brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second, because I think one does go hand in hand. But we see more and more gun control laws being put on the books. Take, for instance, New Jersey. You know, in New Jersey, you cannot even possess a BB gun. A BB gun you cannot possess in the state of New Jersey because they say that's a high-capacity weapon. What's it going to take for conservatives to take back the narrative?
Actually, President Trump, in appointing the two justices to the Supreme Court, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, hopefully has made a major step in that direction so that when the next significant Second Amendment case does get to the Supreme Court, we will have at least a 5-4 majority to stop, not just to stop further limitations on the Second Amendment, but to proactively establish the primacy of the Second Amendment against state limitations. Thus far, we've been fighting a rearguard defensive action. And I like you, your question puts it in exactly the proper perspective. How can we proactively and aggressively, it doesn't even have to be aggressive, let's just proactively assert the right to keep and bear arms and to get it back to where it should be and was intended to be, and that is as a primary right of a citizen of this country that cannot be taken away by a state or local government. Hopefully, with those two new justices, relatively new justices on the court, and hopefully we'll have another one that Trump can name very shortly, at least that will be the final bulwark against further limitations. But the real battles have to be fought in the state legislatures. And it's going to take citizen action, joining and working with organizations from the NRA, on whose board I serve, to the Gun Owners of America, to the Citizens' Right to Keep and Bear Arms, Alan Gottlieb's group out on the West Coast. It's very important for people to join these organizations and support these organizations, even if it's with just a annual $25 a year or whatnot. That's one thing that every citizen can do, and that is to proactively join and support these pro-Second Amendment groups. And then secondly, of course, is to stop electing wishy-washy Republicans to office who do not understand and who are not willing to stand and fight for the Second Amendment.
Congressman Bob Barr, do you have a minute or so to tell us about the Law Enforcement Education Foundation?
Sure, I appreciate that. The Law Enforcement Education Foundation, or LEEF, we have a website, Law EEF, and I had that. It's just a small organization, but we raise money and we provide small grants to law enforcement groups, sheriff's offices, first responders, and so forth, to meet their needs, such as vests or helmets that their local budgets don't provide for them.
Congressman, one of the things that I would love to see, again, getting back to the narrative, we always hear about gun violence, but I think it's going to take an education thing. It's not gun violence, it's criminal violence. That's the basis of it. It's criminal violence. You agree?
Sure, it is. It's not the gun that commits an act of violence. It's an individual who commits an act of violence, and that's a very, very good point that is often overlooked in these debates. And that is, it's not gun violence. It's criminal violence, and it's often a gun that is saving the day. We held a hearing long ago when I was still in the House, back in the mid or late 90s. We held more than one hearing and we focused on people who protected themselves through the use of a firearm, or through simply having a firearm at the right place at the right time. Sometimes you don't even have to use it. Just having a firearm that you can have with you at the time when you're confronted with a criminal at your house or at the school or whatnot is sufficient. And yet, all we see in the Congress year after year nowadays is looking at the other side of the equation: gun violence, not gun protection, not individual defense, but putting the onus on the firearm, not on the criminal.
Congressman Bob Barr, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. Please tell our audience how they could follow your work, read your articles, and also find out more about the Law Enforcement Education Foundation.
Sure. It's been a pleasure being with you, and they can either go to my website, bobbarr.org, or the Law Enforcement Education Foundation .org, LAWEEF, LawEEF.org.
Congressman Bob Barr, again, thank you for joining us. Take care, and God bless.
Same to you and your listeners. Thanks again for having me, and thank you for spreading the message of freedom.
You bet. That's what we all need to do. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why? Well, why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to or watch us on the AUN television network in Northern California, such places as like San Jose, Stockton, San Francisco, San Jose. And with that, Sharron Angle, we do have our next guest with us. Please say hello and welcome him to the show.
Well, it is an honor to introduce Ben Lieberman, who is a senior fellow who specializes in environmental policy at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Ben Lieberman also served 7 years as a senior counsel on the U.S. House Committee on Energy and Commerce. He has published hundreds of op-eds and articles, including those in the New York Post, Chicago Sun-Times, Washington Post, Weekly Standard, and National Review, and he's appeared on a number of radio and television programs on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, Bloomberg, and CNBC. He has also testified before Congress on a number of energy and environmental issues. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show, Ben.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, Ben. We really wanted to talk to you about, can Trump save your air conditioner from the deep state? The deep state is getting into everything, or has gotten into everything. It seems like we turn around and they're putting more regulations on our lives. And now it seems to be air conditioners. Talk to us a little bit about what they're doing with our air conditioning. We've become pretty air condition dependent these days.
Well, yeah, air conditioners have been a target of federal bureaucrats for quite a few decades now. Never mind that they do all these regulations from air-conditioned buildings, but they don't seem to mind making air conditioning more expensive for the rest of us. And now that we're into springtime and people are turning on their air conditioners, in some cases for the first time since last summer, they're crossing their fingers. They're hoping that it turns on. If it doesn't turn on, you might need a repair costing hundreds of dollars, or a replacement, which can easily run into the thousands, even $10,000 or more. Now, not all of these higher costs are due to regulations, but regulations have certainly added to the high cost of staying cool.
Well, you talk about a little bit about this was President Clinton and President Obama that really got started on air conditioners. You know, as many older people are really dependent on air conditioners for survival. It's not just a climate control or a a luxury for some citizens. They really actually need the coolness in order to be able to survive the winter. I mean, the summer.
Oh, absolutely. The health benefits of air conditioning have been well documented. It used to be that July and August were the deadliest 2 months of the year for senior citizens before air conditioning, not since now we have air conditioning and most people can afford it, and we need to keep it affordable. And as you mentioned, Clinton ironically had energy efficiency standards that actually cost money. You would think that an efficiency standard would save you money on your energy bills. The problem is that the Clinton bureaucracy went so far, they set standards so stringent that it ended up costing more to buy the air conditioner than you would ever earn back in the form of energy savings. So it ended up being a real big cost. And then we got more of the same from the Obama administration. And in fact, the Obama administration stopped even taking consumer concerns into account, and also regulated based on the climate benefits, or the claimed climate benefits from more efficient air conditioners. So he wasn't even putting consumers first, and we ended up with regulations that ended up costing more than they saved.
Well, this should be a real wake-up call for senior citizens, I would think, who need that air conditioning, that they're voting for the wrong party. Hello. It seems like, the guys that say, oh, we love you, are really regulating them right out of existence.
Oh, absolutely. People on fixed incomes need affordable air conditioning. These higher prices, they're really dangerous that they start to price some people out of being able to own and operate an air conditioner.
Well, one of the things you say in your article is that the best refrigerant for cooling homes is HCFC-22, which was, tell us what happened to that.
Well, that was one of the refrigerants that was blamed on the ozone hole, which was the big scare before global warming back in the 70s and 80s. And as a result, this refrigerant, which is really the best refrigerant for home air conditioners, nothing that's replaced it has ever is as good. But that refrigerant stopped being produced for new equipment starting in 2010, and it can't be produced at all at the end of this year. And prices have gone through the roof. So just the cost of filling up the refrigerant in a system where some of it has leaked could easily be into the hundreds of dollars, where this used to be a nominal charge.
So it makes you wonder, because they have this eco-friendly refrigerant. Who produces that, and how much did they give to the Democrat Party? I don't know if you know those facts, but it certainly begs the question, when you have something that's good and you come along and outlaw it because of something that you think is going on. I mean, really, do we have any scientific proof that HCFC-22 is hard on the environment?
It's probably not nearly as bad as was claimed. And you're absolutely right. There were chemical companies that made the substitutes, which cost more money. And now the funny thing is, the substitutes are under the gun for being greenhouse gases, and there's efforts to ban those as well. So we went from X to Y, now we're going to Z, our third choice of refrigerants. And surprise, surprise, companies have patented these substitutes, which sell for even more than the other refrigerants. So there's this process where once the old refrigerants become affordable, someone comes along, finds something wrong with them, finds an excuse to restrict them, and then these companies, they patent more expensive alternatives. So it's a big money maker. You see, unfortunately, corporations siding with environmental groups and becoming a very powerful lobbying force for more expensive air conditioning.
Well, and it always comes down to that, doesn't it? Follow the money, follow the money. So if you want to know who's tampering with your lifestyle, you just follow the money and figure out who's got a friend or a brother-in-law working in that deep state, and voila, there there's your culprit. So you say that Trump can save this. How can he save us, and is it even on his radar?
I don't know if it's on his radar. It ought to be, because when you think of all the buildings he owns more air conditioning himself than all the previous presidents combined by a wide margin. So he might know more about this than he's let on, but he hasn't said much about this. But what he could do is hold the line against any future regulations that would drive up the cost further. Like I mentioned, the substitute refrigerants out there right now, they're under the gun as being greenhouse gases, and there are those who'd like to get rid of those. Well, he could stop that if he wanted to. He could also stop these efficiency standards that end up costing more than they save. So just by not adding more regulations, we could at least catch our breath and not see these increasing costs in the years ahead.
So this doesn't take an act of Congress. Our president can do this all by himself. Is this one of those things where the executive branch is in charge of the deep state, and maybe you should do a little housekeeping?
There are things that the president can do, but it's much better to have legislation, but that's just not realistic with a democratically controlled House of Representatives. But there definitely are things that he can do at EPA, at the Department of Energy, to at least hold the line on any further increases in costs. One of the things that the deep state would love to do is something called the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. This is a UN treaty provision, so I think that's probably all you need to know, that would internationally outlaw these refrigerants. He ought to stay out of that UN treaty. I think that would help a lot in the years ahead.
I think we should get out of the UN altogether, but that's just my feeling. We need to go to a short break.
No, it's not just your feeling, Sharon. It's mine and a whole lot of others. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, we need to go to a break anyway. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. You can now watch us on our TV show at the AUN TV Network in San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Santa Rosa, Wine Country, Redding, Chico, Sacramento, and soon to come in Carson City, Tahoe, and Reno, Nevada, Pelosi Country. That's all I've got to say. We'll be right back in just a few minutes with our guest, Ben Lieberman, who's talking about, can Trump save your air conditioner from the deep state? I'm Sharron Angle, joined by my co-host, Rick Trader.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Angle. Want to wish all of you a very best Memorial Day weekend. I hope you're staying cool, but after this conversation, maybe your temperature's going up a little bit. Our guest this segment is Ben Lieberman. He's a senior fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, and we're discussing an article that Ben wrote, Can Trump Save Your Air Conditioner from the Deep State? Ben, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time. Ben, in Sharon's introduction of you, she said that you have testified before Congress on a number of energy and environmental issues. Hey, Ben, did you ever see any of those politicians sweating because maybe they didn't have air conditioning?
No, it was always comfortable in those congressional hearing rooms. Nice and cool, comfort control.
And you know what, Ben? These regulations on air conditioners, they always seem to affect everybody else but the people that start these regulations. It almost seems like politics today, in society today, there's two classes, the political class and everybody else. And the political class, they impose these regulations. They never live by them, like Al Gore flies around the world in private jets, as personal limousines, whatever. I understand he has a big mansion and his lights are always on. Ben, am I wrong that, when I say that the politicians want everybody else to live by the regulations, but they don't seem to?
Well, the only thing I don't like about air conditioning is that it made Washington, D.C. more comfortable in the summer. So all those bureaucrats and members of Congress can work all year long. That's the only downside I can see. But yeah, the added costs, they hurt those at the fringes of society most. If you're a well-paid bureaucrat or politician, you might be able to afford more expensive air conditioning anyway. But if you're a low-income person, and for example, Obama regulations really raised the cost of window unit air conditioners, and that bothered me a lot because window units are the most affordable option, and that's the option you see in a lot of low-income households. So there really isn't a lot of concern about the impact on people of possibly taking away their air conditioning. The obsession is with the environmental impacts of air conditioning.
Ben, let's see, today is 2019. About 19 years ago, I bought a little window air conditioning unit for a bedroom at my mother's house. I paid about $100 for it, $109 for it at the local Walmart. Could you tell 5,000 BTU unit? Could you tell me what that air conditioner might cost today? And how much of that cost is because of these government regulations?
It's really hard to say. For one thing, air conditioners would have gone down in price over time if not for these regulations. That usually happens with products that have been on the market for a while. So even if the price is somewhat the same, adjusted for inflation, that doesn't take into account the fact that there may have been a price increase. Now, it's hard to say. Obviously, there's a lot of different kind of window units, but I've seen Department of Energy data that shows they have gone up by a few $100s over that span. That may not be a lot for some people, but it is a lot of money for others. Also, the cost of repairs, that also has gone up. So it's not just the cost of the equipment, it's also the cost of repairs.
Well, you talk about in your article about repairing, it's not just the cost of the refrigerants and the repairs, but the added measures the service people must adhere to when working on an air conditioning unit. Could you talk about that? What the repairman must do?
Because these refrigerants are deemed hazardous to the environment, the repairmen are required to make sure that none of them escape during servicing, and that requires reclamation equipment, which costs a lot of money, and it also adds the time of repair. So that can add $100 or more to a repair as well.
Whoa. CF22, and you and Sharron were talking about it. One time it was very, very inexpensive. I know you could go to like the Pet Boy and get a small can of it to charge your own car at the time. It's probably like $3-4. CF22 was banned because it was depleting our ozone layer. Ben Lieberman, was this one of these? Oh, well, like saccharin at one time caused cancer. There was we got to get rid of saccharin because it caused cancer. And then years later, they come out and said, no, never mind. It really didn't cause cancer. But CF22, was it really as bad as the politicians and the environmentalists wanted you to believe?
No. And in fact, it wasn't even included originally because it was a very weak ozone depleter. Other chemicals were the main culprits. And in terms of the ozone depletion issue overall, what we do know is that none of the scary predictions ever came true. So either all these bureaucrats did a great job saving us from an environmental disaster, or that disaster was exaggerated in the first place. I think a lot of the latter, maybe only a little of the former.
Ben Lieberman, Competitive Enterprise Institute. I want to touch base on another article that you wrote that I think is very important to consumers. Another day, another blocked pipeline into New York. Ben Lieberman, could you tell us about that?
Well, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has pretty much declared war on all fossil fuels, including clean-burning natural gas. And even though New York, and including New York City, needs more natural gas, he's been blocking pipelines that could take natural gas into the city and the rest of the state. As you may also know, there is plenty of natural gas being produced in neighboring Pennsylvania in the Marcellus fields, the fracking gas. So there's a tremendous opportunity to move gas a relatively short distance to where it's very badly needed. But the state government in New York, which also banned fracking within the state, they could be producing their own gas, but they've also outlawed or blocked all these pipelines that would bring gas into the state. And as a matter of fact, Consolidated Edison, the big utility there, has had to put certain restrictions on new natural gas hookups, which should be absolutely unnecessary. We're swimming in natural gas in this country because of the fracking revolution, but we need pipelines to get it where it's needed. And as a result, a lot of consumers in New York are suffering. I know some of you may not have much sympathy for New Yorkers, but yeah, they're suffering with more expensive energy than is necessary.
Hey Ben, you say it's very badly needed. How badly needed is it?
Well, the main utility there, Consolidated Edison, has actually stopped new natural gas hookups in some parts of their service area. You mentioned that, and that's because of the shortage of natural gas? The shortage of natural gas that can come into the state of New York. New York's now like an island of scarcity, surrounded by plenty.
I remember a few years ago there was a very cold winter, and New England was really suffering high prices because they couldn't get enough natural gas. Hey, Ben Lieberman, Competitive Enterprise Institute, we want to thank you for joining us here on Conservative Commando's radio show. Please tell our audience how they could follow your work, read your articles, and find out more about CEI.
Well, you can just check out our website at cei.org.
Ben Lieberman, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care. God bless. Ben, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend and keep cool if you can.
Thank you. You too.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Angle.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
Saw voter fraud with my own eyes. To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
Well, Sharron, that just about wraps it up for today's show. And like I said, I hope you and your family have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Again, I want to remind our audience, please do something patriotic this weekend. Please remember the men and women who sacrificed their lives so that we could be the United States of America. But have a great holiday. Enjoy your hot dogs, your hamburgers, your picnics, your fireworks, whatever you're going to do. But please, please remember the reason for Memorial Day. Sharron, we had a great show. Several great guests.
We did, and I'd like to thank those guests. First of all, we had Curtis Houck, who talked to us again about how the liberals are losing their minds, this time over To Kill a Mockingbird, if you can believe that. Our second guest that we had a great conversation with, and we're so grateful that he was on, is Ben Lieberman, who is a senior fellow and specializes at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. He talked to us about air conditioning, and maybe it's not going to be as easy to be air conditioned as it used to be. It might cost us more because of regulation. And finally, we're grateful to Joe Dugan, who talked to us about the terror attacks on Saudi oil operations and really the disinformation that's kind of surrounding that whole issue.
Yeah. Sharron, how can our listeners find out what you're up to when you're not here on Conservative Commandos?
Well, they can always go to SharronAngle.com, SharronAngle.com.
All right, but for now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV. And